Wow, that was fabulous. We are just so deeply blessed, aren't we, to have the most wonderful talent on the planet here every Sunday. And I never take it for granted. I am just so grateful for our fleet who's been with us for 13 years, and we are just deeply blessed. I've loved our theme for the month, The Art of Being. It's a book by the Reverend Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones, my colleague, who used to come to the Camelot Theater when we were there and speak for me a few times, and was always wonderful. And he's also a singer, if you recall, as well. And this book is filled with substance. And I love this topic on change, that things, right, they don't change, we do. And the world outside of us responds to that change. This is how it works. And what we know is that change is the only permanent thing in life, and yet nothing is so resisted as change. And I loved Claudia's reading of just acknowledging that, you know, all the planets are falling into place for us. And that as we open and we resist not, just as the river will always have its way, it's the river of oneness, so that that big boulder suddenly is a tiny little pebble. And the things that we've been concerned about is the water's purification, isn't it? And as we draw together this purification process, we know that we are balanced and harmonized. So I would like to share, you know, I have studied shamanism for years. And in the 80s, I had a beautiful shaman teacher. She was the high chiefess of the Pueblo Nation. Her name was Kachi. And she and her mother would put on these great, wonderful powwows, and we would come and we would do vision quests. And I lived on the ocean in Coronado for several years, and we would do dolphin runs. And it was just a very magical time, because I feel that the shamans got it, that we are in the world to revere Mother Earth. And we know that on the 22nd, on Wednesday, what was it? It was Earth Day. And to honor our Mother Earth and to acknowledge that there is, you know, Sky Father, Earth Mother, Grandfather Sun, Grandmother Moon, the finned ones below, the winged ones above, the rock people that share their sermons in stones, the standing ones, the guardians, the trees. Our sister, the babbling brook that shares her song in a universe filled with calm, and all the little four-leggeds that romp and roam and muse upon the Earth Mother that is their home. And we know with Chief Seattle, we did not weave the web of life, did we? We did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand on it. So with great unconditional positive regard, we bow to one another. And we allow this energy, as I bow to you, and acknowledge, if I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, there truly is only one of us. So when we look at the changes in life, and honoring Mother Earth, and honoring the energy of our planet, and honoring one another, that we are all part of the human family. And I loved when I met with the president of the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. Her name was Carolyn Hanshin. And she talked about that there's patriarchy and there's matriarchy. And she said, I'm about familyarchy. And when we're about familyarchy, we're acknowledging the human family, that we are all related. And as the ancient indigenous peoples states, all my relations, that we are all related. This is our ground of being, that those that came before us, they offered up this legacy, all my relations. And in saying that, one of my very favorite stories is about an initiation process. Now, my 12-year-old grandson just took a 9-hour test in his martial arts to receive his black belt. And I said to him, when he's been doing this since he was 6. So he was about 7. And I said, well, you know, he was going to martial arts. I said, practice makes perfect. He said, oh no, Mima, not practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, because you can do it incorrectly and then it's not perfect. But perfect practice, he's sharing this energy of the perfect practice makes perfect, and doing it correctly. And I love this because we'll talk about, in New Thought, there's the metaphysicians and the metaphysicers, right? And so he said, and Mima, we do not have opponents. We have partners. We're not there to hurt each other. We're there to grow our own practice. And you know what I told him? This is the formula for world peace. We're not opponents. We're partners. We're not here to hurt each other. We're here to grow and unfold in our own personal lives, to wear away, as our divine water symbol wears away the energy of the granite rock into the tiny pebble, and then returning it to its native nothingness, to the great Mother Ocean. So on this day, I would like to share about this initiation process. And it was with the Pueblo Nation. And it was shared with me by my teacher. And she was sharing with me that in the Pueblo Nation, there is an initiation. And when each young man turns 12 years old, just like my grandson, they have an initiation where they have to go out into the forest with nothing but a loincloth, a bow, and one arrow. They have to stay there all night until they can feel the sun on their body temple. And they know that they've passed through this initiation. And so the youngest son in the tribe just turned 12, and he was rather small for his age. And it was scary going out into the forest with nothing but a loincloth, a bow, and one arrow. And the caveat, you had to be blindfolded. So there he went, and small in stature, but a brave, brave young man going out into the forest, but he was shaking a little. And there he was under the tree with his little bow and one arrow, blindfolded. And he would hear a crackling, and he'd turn, and then it would stop. And then he would hear something else, and he was just absolutely shivering with the cold. As morning broke and the sun began to rise, he heard a sharp crackling, and he turned with his little bow and his arrow, and as he was going to extend and release his arrow, he looked up, took off the blindfold, and there was the great chief, his father, guarding him for the whole night. And he said, "Oh, my son, I am always with you, always, guarding and protecting you." And what I love about this great legend is that there's a power and a presence at our scariest moments that is guarding, guiding, and protecting us. The love of God surrounds us. The light of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. That we are feeling this energy, the wings of the angels around us. Blessed are they who have eyes that see, who have ears that hear, and that we are never, ever alone. So when we look at the power of change in our lives, and that nothing is so resisted as change, and that as we open to change and we surrender to change, we move to the next level of our evolution. Remember, life goes not backward nor tarries with yesterday. Life is the forward progression of the soul. Now, there's a great story about a professor at Columbia University, and he gave his class an assignment, and they each picked up a piece of paper. And I actually recreated the piece of paper because this is what it looked like. It was a piece of paper with a black dot on it. So each student studied it, and I said, "Oh, so you want us to write about this paper with the black dot?" And the professor said, "Yes, I would like you to give me your own account of what this means to you." So they were, the class, scurrying away and writing, and in 1 hour, he stopped it and said, "We're complete. Please pass them in." And he read them. And one was about the black holes of the universe, and it went on, and it was amazing. And another one was like, it was like a target in life, and keep on our goals and our targets. And another one was about, the blackness in our lives. It just went on and on. And he read each one of them, all 25, the professor. Then he held it up, and he said, "Isn't it interesting that there is all this light around the black dot, and not one of you mentioned the light around the black dot? You all honed in on the black dot." And he said, as an object lesson, how many of us hone in on our problems, our troubles, what's going on? We tell the story. We're like a broken record, right? We're like a little parrot, that anyone who will listen, right? Here's all this light. Let's focus and hone in on the light, that light that is everywhere present. And as we hone in on the light, it absorbs the black dot. Because what? The darkness comprehendeth it not, and shadows flee away forever and ever and ever. And as we focus on the light and we look up, we take off our blindfold, and there is our Father, Mother God. There's an energy of support for us, whatever that looks like. Sometimes it's our little four-leggeds that are there with so much joy and unconditional love. I can walk out this door for 2 minutes. I walk back in, and my little Miss Minnie is jumping up and down, and she's creating, just this wonderful welcome. I've been gone for 2 minutes. It's so wonderful, isn't it, to be loved unconditionally and to acknowledge that when you walk in the door. And I love that when I was watching an interview program, and Oprah was interviewing her teacher, her mentor, and she said, when you walk into a room and people's eyes light up, you know that they are so happy to see you. And there are times we walk into a room and people's eyes don't light up. So what do? We send them the light. We don't focus on the black dot. We send them the light. And as we send them the light, something happens, doesn't it? And that I have found that energetically, that the universe arises to our expectation. When there was a high school teacher, she was given all the problem kids. They would skip school and they would do all their little things, and they were problems. A lot of them were suspended, and she got them all. And they didn't exactly, share with her that these were the problem kids. So she looked at their names on the first day, and, she looked across, and there were numbers across from the names. And she began to treat them with great unconditional positive regard. And if a student would act out, she would just say, I know you're having a moment. I'll give you that moment. We know you'll be back with us. We honor you. And whatever went on, she just took it to the next level. She didn't focus on the black dot. She focused on all the light within them. And they responded. And they became straight A students. Now, the principal was just absolutely blown away. He said, my God, how did you manage this class of practically delinquents to become straight A students? She said, well, when you gave me their names and, and I looked across at their intelligence quotients, their IQs, they were so high, they were geniuses. I treated them as geniuses. They responded as geniuses. He said, oh my God, those were not their IQs. Those were their locker numbers. Now, she did not know that. So she treated each individual as a genius. And the truth is, if we are created in the image and likeness of God, that each of us tap into that creative genius. and that we open to change. And it gets easier. And believe me, I know what it is to resist change. And finally, you surrender. You let go and let God do what God does best by means of you, because you are unique. There's not another one like you. You are unique. You are special. That's right. Each and every one of us. No two fingerprints exactly alike, right? No two snowflakes exactly alike. That we are unique. And that when we go through our dark night of the soul and we feel shivering and blindfolded, that guess what? There is our Father, Mother, God. I am with you always. I will never forsake you, even till the end of the earth. I am with you always. And that we are at choice, that we can hone into the black dots in our life. We can reiterate the story, or we can look at all the light in our lives and build on that gratitude, because gratitude is what? The brightest beam to heaven, isn't it? Gratitude. So on this glorious day where we come together and we feel this energy. In fact, today, after our service, we're going to go straight over to Old Temecula. It's an hour and a half drive. And the book that I have co-authored with Robbie Motter and 46 other authors is called It's All About Showing Up. Now, we're told that showing up is 90% of life, right? And the other 10% is up to us. It's all about showing up. The power is in the asking. So we're going to have a wonderful book signing at the Burgundy Club in Old Temecula town and be together to celebrate one another and our creative endeavors, and to celebrate Robbie Motter, who's been one of my greatest supporters all these years. I spoke for her group. She had a group called You 25 years ago, and I was her guest speaker. And every major award that I've received, Robbie has nominated me, with the exception of a couple, of course. But I just thank her. It's been very fun to be the Riverside County Woman of the Year Award and to acknowledge this Coachella Valley that I love so dearly. And that if we're on the planet long enough and we love what we do and do what we love, there's no greater combination in life than that. So things don't change. We change. And the world outside of us responds to that change. And who cares if they're locker numbers? We treat each person as an individual. And as these young people were treated as troublemakers, guess what? They responded and arose to the occasion of the perfect troublemaker. But when they were treated with respect and honoring, they arose to the occasion of their true genius, their true uniqueness and specialness. That's what makes the difference. So today, where we acknowledge that things don't change, we change. We're all going somewhere. And where is that? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. For we are in a high place and we will not come down. None of these outer things move us, do they? None of these outer things move us. So I say to you, namaste. The God in me celebrates the God in you. And the God in you celebrates the God in me. And if I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. Namaste. And I say shalom, the peace that passes all understanding. And God bless us, everyone. And so it is.